Hope you guys are doing well. Today we're going to be discussing social media, and there's a lot of information about social media. So I decided to do two different presentations for you. One that is based on the academic literature that exists about social media, which, keep in mind, is 5 to 10 years behind what's actually going on, but there is some interesting information. And in particular, this is the area of research that I work on, and so I wanted to share some of that background with you before we got into the content covered in the text. With the rise of social media, the power has been taken from those in marketing and public relations by those individuals and communities that create, share, and consume blogs, tweets, Facebook entries, movies, pictures, and anything else that can be shared via social media. Communication about the brand happens with or without the permission of the firms in question, and many organizations are choosing to take social media serious because of this. According to a 2012 social media industry report and Forbes, some quick facts about the role social media is playing in the business world. 94% of all businesses with a marketing department use social media as part of their marketing platform. Almost 60% of marketers are devoting the equivalent of a full workday on social media marketing, development, and maintaining. Only 12% of those organizations who use social media feel like they're doing so effectively. Although it's clear that for better or for worse, social media is very powerful, many executives and researchers are unclear about exactly what drives consumer social media usage and what strategies will translate into desirable consumer behaviors. So an overall view of this presentation, I'm going to talk about social media, define it, do a little bit of literature review in each of these areas just so you get a little bit of the background about social media from an academic perspective. So this data now seems very outdated looking at it, but I went to try to update it, and this is still the best breakdown of data that I could find about social media and social networking use. So the average American spends 22.4 hours a week on social media. The global average is 25.2. Global users on average spend 12.5% more time on social media than Americans, and those under 35 spend an average of 26.6 hours a week on social media. I also found this chart. This was the most up-to-date one that I could find. And what's interesting is it broke down social networking from microblogging, which microblogging you can think about like Twitter. It's where you have a limited number of characters that you can use, and so Twitter has that 155, I think is what it's up to now. And then the time spent on social networking sites daily is at 1.72 hours, and then microblogging is about, I think it was 0.88 hours a day in 2014. So you can see the total average hours spent online is in 2014 was well above 6 hours. So far, what's been learned about social media. So what is social media? A search of academic journals and practitioner guides, there are many definitions for social media that are in articles and various chapters. Social media is what marketers are now referring to as earned media, as opposed to the traditional paid media such as advertisement or owned media such as a company's website. Social media is now generally considered to have entered the mainstream and covers a broad spectrum of the demographics. Social media will become a substantial source for future research that has a potential to shape, craft, transform not only sales and marketing strategy, but corporate strategy for years to come. So in literature, just in general, the link between social media usage and personality traits, we've found that people who are more extroverted, more narcissistic, more emotionally stable, and more open to experience use social media more, or those who are low on those personality traits. In marketing specifically, researchers have begun to investigate social media discussions around consumers and how consumers are using social media as an information source to gain knowledge about an organization and its brands. Literature on social media overwhelmingly has recognized that organizations should not only integrate social media into their marketing strategies, but also use social media as an avenue to facilitate customer value co-creation. Further, research has shown various ways in which consumers are being impacted by their use of social media. Research on social media has demonstrated consumers are using Facebook as a venue to reflect their actual and ideal selves by creating brand connections on their personal pages, influencing purchase intentions of others via peer communication within social media platforms as well. Sales researchers have also determined that social media impacts the selling environment and has a significant impact on sales elasticity. Consumer behaviorists have discovered that social media causes people to have an increased self-esteem, leading to a decrease in self-control, and that social media influences the diffusion process of consumer products. Additionally, consumers' brand evaluations and purchase intentions have been shown to be influenced by the mere presence of others' demographic characteristics being displayed on the brand's social media page. This particular paper was pretty interesting. It showed that by having the profile picture of the various users displayed on your brand's page, which you can't really control anymore, that people make a assumption about your product and your brand based on if the user's pictures look like people that are in their aspirational or non-aspirational groups, and that impacts their brand evaluations and their purchase intentions. So it was very interesting research. So the motivations to use social media are to stay connected with others, to create and maintain social capital, self-esteem and well-being, and fulfillment of individual social needs such as affiliation, self-expression, self-presentation, and support. So this chart shows that an overwhelming majority, 94%, indicate they are employing social media for marketing purposes. In this specific chart, a significant 83% of marketers said that social media was important to their business. In this chart, 59% of marketers are using social media for 6 hours or more, and 33% for 11 hours or more a week. It's interesting to note that nearly 15% of marketers are spending more than 20 hours each week on social media. This chart shows how different sized businesses invest their time in social media activities. For example, 58% of marketers who have been using social media for more than 3 years reported that it helps them improve sales. More than half of those who spend 11 hours or more per week find the same result, and over 65% of those who spend 30 hours a week or more earn new business through their efforts. This survey was conducted with over 3,800 marketers in industry in 2013.